McLeod is present for the father, Tremaine Carr. Sam Martinez is present with the mother, Catherine Wickware. Ms. Wickware, if you could please position that camera so that we can see, so that I will know you're able to see and hear us. Thank you. All right. Are we taking up second permanency and resetting the final?
Yes, Your Honor.
You may call your first witness.
The department calls Melissa Earl. Am I correct that you were covering for Quashella Hall?
That's correct.
And is it your understanding that the department filed a court report for the hearing initially set for last week, but was reset for today?
Yes.
Is it your understanding, to the best of your knowledge, that everything included in that report is true and correct at the time of its filing?
Yes.
Your Honor, I offer the department's court report.
It's okay.
Ms. Earl, do you have any updates on how the kids are doing since the court report was filed?
I do have some updates. I know that there was some dental work that was going to be done, pretty extensive dental work. All of that was taken care of. It went very well. There weren't any further concerns after that. I know that the boys had some behaviors that had been reported mainly at school. Most of those have eased pretty well. A lot of it is what the caregiver describes as typical boy behavior, standing up on the bus when they shouldn't, things of that nature. No aggression or anything like that has been reported. I know the boys are attending in-person therapy, and they will be attending that through the summer. And they'll also be working with a therapist from the school, I believe, through the summer.
And so it seems like the caregiver is on top of making sure all the boys' needs are met at this time, correct?
That's correct.
Any concerns about the care that the caregiver is providing these kids?
There are no concerns about the care that the caregiver is providing. The caregiver has come to the department and to CASA with some concerns for certain things that the boys need that we're working to help her with.
And is one of those childcare in the summer?
Yes, one of those is childcare in the summer.
And has there been a solution?
The solution that we have come up with now is we are looking to approve alternate caregivers at this time who can sit in with the boys. And we're also continuing to look for spots available in daycare, for childcare. There just aren't any openings for them that we've been able to locate in that area.
Have there been any concerns brought to the department's attention by the caregiver that have not been addressed at this point?
Not that I'm aware of.
And am I correct in that this caregiver is interested in pursuing PCA?
That's correct.
And does the department anticipate there being any issues with her becoming licensed?
No, and the department has let her know that they will work with her to help in any way that we can.
Do you have any other updates as it relates to the children or the caregiver?
Not at this time.
Do you have any updates on the mother since the court report was filed?
I don't have any updates. I did meet with Ms. Wickware, and I was informed that she really hadn't participated since March, I believe was the last that I have, and I believe the court report was filed after that.
And to your knowledge, has she had any contact with the children since the court report was filed?
No.
Do you have any other updates as it relates to the mother?
I do not.
Any updates as it relates to the father, Mr. Carr?
I do not have any.
Is there anything else you feel the court needs to be made aware of?
Not at this time.
I'll pass the witness.
Mr. McLeod,
No questions, Judge.
Mr. Martinez.
As far as the mother, I mean, to show the ability of, do you know whether or not she knows the services that she needs to do right now?
When I met with her, she didn't ask me any questions, and she had been working services. I mean, I do have information of things that she had done up until then. She expressed that when the monitored return was denied, that she chose not to do anything else.
I don't have any other questions.
Ms. Harrison.
Just briefly, Your Honor. Ms. Earl, to your understanding, has it been quite a while since mom has visited with the kids?
To my understanding, yes.
Okay. And are they struggling with that, missing their mom?
I know Caden is struggling. He requested when I met with him to have visits with mom. The other two boys expressed that they want to see their mom, but they didn't specifically ask for any type of contact.
Okay. And is it your understanding that this caregiver will be their permanent caregiver?
Yes.
Okay. And has she indicated to you that after CPS gets out of the case, she will likely allow limited supervised contact between the kids and this mother?
Yes, and she indicated that she believes that that would probably be best for them to have some sort of contact with their mom.
Okay, so is the department opposed to just limited supervised phone calls right now between the kids and their mom?
We are not opposed to that.
Okay, thank you. Pass the witness.
Ms. Harrison, are you asking that the caregiver allow visits as mom is behaving, even if she doesn't drug test?
I would love that, but at a minimum, I'm asking just for phone calls. All the kids indicated to me they're struggling and they miss their mom and they at least want to talk to her on the phone if they're not allowed to see her in person.
Do you believe it would endanger the children if we let the caregiver decide if mom could have a supervised visit?
Oh, no, she's protective and trustworthy.
She's going to do it when we're out of the case anyway.
And that's the thing. I think it's causing more harm that we cut them off and then start them back. It's just a lot emotionally for them.
All right. Does anyone have any further questions of Ms. Earl at this time?
Just a couple, Judge.
All right.
Ms. Earl, what is the department's position as it relates to the mother having some supervised visits with the children, although she's not drug testing?
At this point, the department agrees that it seems to be doing more harm to the boys not to have contact with their mom. The department is in favor of phone calls. I can't speak to in-person visits.
Does the department have any concerns if the mother was to have supervised in-person visits with the boys, although she's not drug testing?
I'm not aware of any concerns. The caregiver is very protective of the kids and is able to address that.
I have no further questions.
Does anyone have anything further of Ms. Earl? Your next witness,
I have no further witnesses.
Mr. McLeod,
No witnesses, Judge.
Mr. McLeod, Mr. Martinez,
No witnesses, Your Honor.
Ms. Harrison.
No witnesses, Your Honor.
All right. What is CASA's position? What does CASA have anything
No,
further?
Judge.
All right. And as far as we should be pretty close to getting out, and if the caregiver is going to be allowing mom some supervised access, does CASA believe that just putting that off and delaying that would harm the children rather than to allow her to start allowing supervised visits as long as she is supervising?
I agree. I think she's a protective caregiver, and I think at her discretion would be fine.
Thank you. All right. The court has reviewed the progress of the parents on the family service plan. I will continue the department as the temporary managing conservator. The court finds that the department is making reasonable efforts to reunify, but also to make and finalize an alternate plan. The court approves of the department's plan. The court finds at this time the parents are not making progress on the family service plan. However, given the goal of this case is PMC to the current caregiver, Ms. Reyes, given the children's difficulty right now with not having access to their mother, the court will allow Angela Reyes to allow mom to have some visits supervised by her if she believes that that is in the best interest of the children. Ma'am, the law does require that I admonish all parents, if you are unable or unwilling to provide a safe environment for your children, your parental rights could be subject to restriction or termination. The next hearing in this case will be a final hearing. Our dismissal date is August 14th. I'll set this for July 25th. This case for a final hearing. On the court's docket for a status hearing, the department is present through Ms. West. Nancy Harrison is the attorney ad litem for the child. Mr. Dennis is present for the mother, Lemuelette McKinney. And also Marquez Bayman is present. Sir, this is the first time you've been in court, is that correct? He's got no audio. Ms. Seith, have you had a chance to talk with Mr. Bayman?
I have.
I guess that's how he knew how to join us. He's listed as the acknowledged father. So he's entitled to an attorney. Ms. Seith, do you want to just call him on the phone?
Sure, I can. Hold on.
Does anyone know if the father attended the permanency conference on 5/4? He's connected now, Ms. Seith.
Judge, I think the references in the report were that neither of the parents did, but that the worker spoke to Mr. Bayman and not my client.
Right. Well, the report says there was a PC going to be held on 5/4, but the report was filed on 5/3. So I had no idea who showed up for the PC. Mr. Bayman, how are you today? You're on mute. Are you driving a vehicle or are you riding?
I'm riding.
You're not driving?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And the pleadings indicate you're the father of this child, Liviana, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
You have a right to have a lawyer. If you can't afford one, I will appoint a lawyer for you. Would you like to have a lawyer going forward?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I had conditionally appointed an attorney who was unable to locate you. I'm going to reappoint that firm. The question for today is, are you aware of the services that are on your family service plan?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you have any concerns about those services, or would you like to talk to your lawyer first?
I would like to talk to my lawyer.
All right. Any reason I wouldn't go ahead and reset this and allow Mr. Bayman a chance to visit with his attorney?
No, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor.
I'm resetting it to June 6th. It'll still be on Zoom, sir. In fact, it'll be back. It'll be Mr. Sibley, Mr. McClinton, or Mr. Howell. I'm not sure who of that group initially was assigned to you. So I'm going to conditionally appoint them again, but you're going to need to fill out a request for a court-appointed attorney. All right, sir?
All right.
I'm going to bring Mr. McClinton in. Your firm was conditionally appointed for Mr. Bayman.
Okay.
I don't know which one of you three it was, but at the adversary, unable to locate him and you were discharged. He's here today.
Okay.
We're at the status, and so I'm resetting this case 2 weeks to June 6th.
Okay.
Why don't I go ahead and put you two in a breakout room? It may or may not be your case, but at least you, Mike, could give him the information so that y'all will be ready by June 6th.
Sure.
Okay, I'll put y'all in a breakout room. Once you're done, you can just press the leave the meeting, sir. And then just make sure you get that appointment with whichever of the three attorneys it'll be. And then we'll be right back. Well, we're going to be in recess for 2 weeks, but I'm going to let these two visit. The department is present through Ms. West. Oh, Annika Casper, you were just waiting for the right moment to tell me, weren't you, Ms. West?
I was.
I'm so sorry. I'm so far behind. It stresses me out. The department is present through Ms. West. Katie Casper is Tristan's attorney and guardian ad litem. Sam Kinslow is present he was appointed to attempt to locate Jose Jaimes Aviles. Mr. Kinslow, have you had a chance to do your due diligence to try to locate him?
I've done everything I could. I have not filed a report yet because I wasn't sure if this was one where I was also appointed following him being served or not.
Well, he hadn't been served.
Okay.
Or has he?
He is not, Judge.
But I have another question now, because now it looks like the mother's given 5 more names.
And Judge, we filed amended pleadings adding an unknown father, given the mother has continued to list names.
That was my question right here. Did the department amend to allege an unknown? And so what I'm going to do, Mr. Kinslow, is I am going to amend the order that appointed you so that you will have not only Jose Jaimes Aviles, but also the unknown father. I think you've probably done most all of the work, but if the department has other names, they'll give them to you and you can run those traps and then just do your summary of efforts.
As the unknown, I think I've already seen the paternity registry and the CCJ, but if there's some other names, I'm not aware of that.
Yeah, they're in the report, but all right. So I'll keep you on at this time, and I'm going to add that you will be also for the unknown father. And Mr. Dennis is present for the mother, Tiffany Reyna. You may call your first witness.
The department called Shauna Smith, file a court report in preparation of today's hearing.
Yes, we did.
To the best of your knowledge, is everything included in that report true and correct at the time of its filing?
Yes.
Your Honor, I offer the department's court report.
It's admitted.
Ms. Smith, do you have any updates on how Tristan is doing since the court report was filed?
No, Tristan is doing well. He's been doing well in his foster placement. We've had no concerns.
As it relates to the mother, do you have any updates on her since the court report was filed?
No, we don't have any updates on her either. Sorry.
And am I correct? She's still in McLennan County Jail?
Yes, that is correct.
And she has submitted to some services with Dr. Schinder's assistance, correct?
Yes.
You know if there are any other services she can engage in while she's in McLennan County Jail?
No, she is engaging in everything that is available to her.
But am I correct? It's looking like she's going to be incarcerated for quite some time.
Yes, she had reported to Dr. Schinder that she was signing for a 15-year sentence.
But the department's not seen any paperwork confirming that, correct?
Correct.
Do you have any other updates as it relates to the mother?
No.
And as it relates to Mr. Aviles, am I correct? The department's not had any contact with him?
That is correct.
But the mother has continued to provide additional names for gentlemen who could potentially be the father?
Yes.
Will the department work with Mr. Kinslow and provide him with whatever information y'all have about who could be this child's father?
Yes.
Is there anything else you feel the court needs to be made aware of at this time?
Just that we have attempted to contact Tiffany's sisters yet again, as they have gone back and forth about potentially being considered for placement, and we haven't heard back from them. Homesteading paperwork has been provided to them, but they have not come back to us.
Are those the only individuals who have been identified as potential relative options?
Yes.
Is there anything else you feel the court needs to be made aware of?
No, just that the department has visited with potentially an alleged father, Alan Roberts, at the jail, and he has stated an interest in believing and thinking he's the father, but there hasn't been anything further with him.
Well, I'll pass the witness.
Mr. Dennis.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Smith, I noticed in your report that around the beginning of May, I believe it said 5/3 was when Dr. Shinder was going to try to reinitiate services with my client. Do you know if that's happened, or is all of your information from prior to her, suicide watch and breakdown?
I didn't hear the last part of what you said. Was that prior to what?
Prior to when he visited with her the first time and she was put on suicide watch.
No, he is back engaging with her and visiting with her. We just received a recent note, and if you have not received it, I will be sure to forward it as soon as we're done with this hearing.
All right, that's it. No other questions, Your Honor.
Mr. Kinslow.
One question. I'm sorry, I think I misunderstood. Did you say one of the gentlemen had said that they thought they were the father?
Yes, the department received a letter from Alan Roberts back in January, thinking that he was potentially the father. And Tiffany's sister had also previously told me about this man as well. And I will send you all of that. I actually opened up a box to start typing you all the information about Mr. Roberts.
If there's contact information, you'll get that to me, is what you're saying. Okay, fine.
Yes,
No
sir.
other questions.
Jail. It's the jail.
Yes.
Oh, McLennan County?
Yes, sir.
And it's in the report also.
I guess I didn't print the report because I thought I was going to be interrogating the mother today about other possibilities, and she's not here, obviously.
Any questions, Ms. Casper?
No, Your Honor.
Any further witnesses, Ms. West?
No further witnesses.
For Dennis?
No witnesses, Your Honor, but for Mr. Kinslow's benefit, he can go to the jail to talk to my client as well if he needs to. I don't know how successful that'll be, but.
Thank you. Any witnesses, Mr. Kinslow?
No witnesses. I had made a note. I need to see the mother at the jail. Mr. Dennis allowed it, so thank you for that.
Thank you. Ms. Casper, any witnesses?
No witnesses.
Well, if this gentleman would like genetic testing, Mr. Kinslow, the quicker we get that request, maybe Ms. West can give you a form order that if he wants genetic testing, then you'll have that. You can get all his information, and then we can get on getting that DNA test ordered.
Great. I'll try to take that order to the jail when I go.
All right. All right. The court has reviewed the progress of the parents on the family service plan. I will continue the department as the temporary managing conservator. I will approve the current placement. The court finds that the department is making reasonable efforts to reunify, but also to make and finalize an alternate plan. The court approves of the department's plan. The court finds that the mother is not making progress on her family service plan. There are no parents here to warn. The next hearing is September 19th, 2023. That is second permanency and final. I guess because we've got now a dad that might be wanting genetic testing, we probably don't need to be thinking this is really going to be a final in September. So we'll leave it like it is, and we'll see where we are and see if there's genetic testing. The dismissal date is December 4th, 2023. Is there anything further from anyone for a status hearing? The department is present through Ms. West. Mr. McClinton is present for the mother, Whitney Allen, and Mr. Sam Martinez is present for the alleged father. I guess he's probably the father by now, right?
Your Honor, my notes from the adversary hearing show that Mr. Martinez was dismissed.
Yep, I just noticed that. Thank you. Sorry, Mr. Martinez. Has Mr. Favors been served?
He has, Your Honor.
We're set for a status hearing. Is everyone ready?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor. And the department also filed a motion to transfer this case as well.
The mom's been served and dad's been served. And y'all
Yes, Your
have
Honor.
developed plans. And everyone is in Upshur County.
The child is placed in Upshur County. The father is currently incarcerated in Limestone County, and I'm not sure where the mother is currently residing.
So why are we transferring?
Your Honor, due to there being an open CPS case in Limestone County involving the mother and father's other two children.
Who's the judge in Limestone County?
Ms. Jones?
It's Judge Buford Downs.
Do you happen to know if that court is aware of this new removal?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and where are they in that Limestone County case?
We proved up the relinquishment on May the 11th.
So it's over.
Yes, it's going to the adoption unit.
What I'll do, let's take up the status and then I will contact that judge. It looks like it's kind of iffy whether it needs to be transferred, right? It would be convenient, especially if that court was in the middle of a CPS case, but I don't want to just shove it off on him if he's thinking I just got rid of these people. So what I'll do is I will try, if I get a lunch hour or sometime this afternoon, I will try to call the judge and just run it by him. What is the name of the Limestone County case, Ms. Jones?
It's Armour/Favors.
Same parents?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And Judge, just so you're aware, all three, there were 2 kids in that case and 1 in this case, and they're all in the same placement.
Okay. Before I box it up and send it to a judge that may not want it on its plate, it's not like it's a CCJ. It's not like we're even sure where people are living. Y'all tell me if I'm missing something, but I like to get permission before I just shove stuff. I like to have that talk. Is that okay?
That's fine, Judge.
All right. Mr. Crosby, if you can start looking for that judge's phone number so that when we're done, I'll have it available. You may proceed, Ms. West.
The department calls Stacey Jones. Did the department file a court report in preparation of today's hearing?
Yes.
To the best of your knowledge, is everything included in that report true and correct at the time of its filing?
Yes.
Your Honor, I offer the department's court report.
It's admitted.
Ms. Jones, I want to touch on the child just briefly because the court report mentions a health scare that occurred with the child a couple of weeks ago. Is that right?
Yes.
How is the child doing at this point?
He's doing well. He's still having some congestion and respiratory issues. So his grandmother is getting him an appointment scheduled. I believe it's for the end of this month to kind of check out to see what's going on with him.
But at this point, he's doing okay with his current placement, correct?
Yes.
Any concerns about the care that his grandmother is providing him at this point?
No.
Ma'am, am I correct in that there were family plans of service created for each parent in this case?
Yes.
And has the department gone over the family plans of service with the mother and father, Mr. Favors?
Yes.
And has either parent signed those family plans of service?
They have not signed them yet, but they were agreeable to work the services.
And ma'am, I know there's one clarification on the mother's family plan of service the department would like to make would be that she would test pursuant to the color code. Is that right?
She and the father, yes, ma'am.
In the family plan of service, it mentions, I think, random drug testing, but the department's requesting that they both drug test pursuant to the color code.
Yes, ma'am.
Are there any additional services the department's requesting to be added to either parent's family plan of service?
No, ma'am.
Is there anything else you feel the court needs to be made aware of at this time?
I do have some updates on the services. We did confirm with Dr. Schinder's office that both parents completed their psychological evaluations on April the 4th. We also confirmed that Mrs. Allen completed her drug and alcohol assessment on May the 23rd, and there were no recommendations from that assessment. And we also confirmed with Dr. Schinder's office that she will begin her protective parenting on June the 3rd.
Question. If I transfer the case, Ms. Jones, would the services that she's already engaged in be the same services if the case were in Limestone?
Yes, ma'am. So she scheduled the psychological during my last case, if that makes sense, because she just started working service.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Sorry, Ms. West, go ahead.
And ma'am, Mr. Favors is currently in Limestone County Jail. Is that right?
He is.
Okay. And is he able to work services while he's in Limestone County Jail?
The only thing he can do is a protective parenting package at this time.
Is there anything else you feel the court needs to be made aware of?
No, ma'am.
I'll pass the witness.
Ms. Casper, I'm sorry, Mr. McClinton.
Yes, Miss Allen lives in Waco, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, and she started all her services here in Waco?
Yes.
Sounds like she's making some pretty good progress at this early stage. Would you agree with that?
She's starting to make some progress, yes.
Okay, well, it's early in the case, right?
Yes.
Okay. And I believe you said the child is in Upshur County?
He is.
Where is that line? Where's Upshur? How far is that from here?
It's out of region. It's a couple of hours from us. I believe it's 2.5 to 3 hours for mom.
Okay. Has she been having visits?
She's had one visit since Weston's been placed out there. It was on May the 14th.
Okay, and I guess his grandmother supervised?
She is.
Okay. I'll pass the witness.
Ms. Casper?
Ms. Jones' dad is in jail for aggravated sex with a child. Is that correct?
He is.
And the victim is one of Miss Allen's other children. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And so she was in a relationship with him until he went to jail. Is that correct?
It's my understanding that they're still in a relationship.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I'll pass the witness.
Anything further of this witness?
No, Your Honor.
Is the department's understanding that the mother resides in Waco?
Yes, she just started a new job, I believe, like a month or so ago.
Okay. So does the mother want it to stay here in the county that she resides in, Mr. McClinton?
Y'all have reached out to her yesterday and this morning and haven't been able to have her respond back, but considering her, I believe in this case, she is making progress and she's living here and working here. So I wouldn't want her to, I mean, regarding back to the transfer issue, if she's going to get thrown into the later stages of a case, I think that would be
Well, the case is over.
Right. I mean, yeah, I don't want her to, she's making progress now. I'd like to have time to continue the progress that she's made.
All right. Yeah, it wouldn't be into the old case. It would just be whether or not that judge should hear it, but it doesn't sound like there's really jurisdiction for that judge to hear it.
Okay.
Anything further, Ms. Casper?
No, Your Honor.
All right. I will continue the department as the temporary managing conservator. I will approve the child's current placement and prior orders for visitation. I will make the family service plan for each of the parents in order of the court. I will clarify that each of the parents will test pursuant to the color system. There are no parents here to warn. The initial permanency is September 26, 2023. Second permanency and final is January 23rd, 2024. And our dismissal date is April 1st, 2024. After I will consult with the judge from Limestone County, and then I will let y'all know. Children, this case is on the court's docket for a status hearing. The department is present through Ms. West. Is the guardian ad litem for the children. CASA is present through Ms. Cooper, correct, Ms. Cooper? All right. Ms. Robin Houston is the attorney ad litem for Braley, and Ms. Katie Casper is the attorney ad litem for Andreas and John. Mr. Sam Kinslow is present for the mother, Rhiannon Hill. Mr. Albert Hernandez is deceased. John Hill. Has John Hill been served?
He has, Your Honor.
All right. Is there a reason that he's not mentioned in the report at all?
Your Honor, I believe it was because the department was having difficulty in locating him and getting in contact with him.
So there's only a family service plan for the mother?
No, Your Honor, the department filed a family plan of service for Mr. Hill as well.
Okay, so he's not mentioned in the report, but there is a family service plan for him.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, you may call your first witness.
The department calls Garrett.
I'm sorry, Ms. Kay is present for the interveners, Mr. and Mrs. Gray. All right, now you may proceed.
The department calls Garrett Harris.
For the record, the interveners, Mr. and Ms. Gray, just came into the courtroom.
Ms. Harris, I want to talk about the children briefly. Let's talk about Braley first. Do you have any updates on her since the court report was filed?
Yes, Braley just called me right as I was getting called into this court hearing. She is still currently in her psychiatric placement, and she has not been doing the best. She did let me know that she had been getting into altercations there at the facility, and she just wants to know when she's going to be able to get out, and just Braley being herself, really demanding and wanting to come home.
Has the facility provided a discharge date for Braley?
They are expecting Braley to be released by Friday.
And does the department have a placement identified for Braley upon her release?
At this time, we do not.
To be clear, there has been a CPE request put in for Braley, correct?
Correct.
But the department, there's not been any placements identified at this point for Braley.
No.
Does the department have a plan for what to do with Braley if she is released on Friday?
We don't know.
Okay. Do you have any other updates as it relates to Braley?
No.
As it relates to the other two children, John and Andreas, do you have any updates on them since the court report was filed?
Yes.
And what updates do you have?
I did have to complete an emergency placement late last night for Andreas. He was moved to a different foster home.
And can you tell us the circumstances of why he was moved last night?
So Andreas's previous foster placement did cut his hair without verbal permission or acknowledgement. They did not notify anyone until after it was already done. Once it was brought to their attention, they kind of were upset about it and didn't really understand why they had to get permission to do those type of things. There was also an issue with the foster placement not really wanting to travel to Waco for the visits. So they weren't really happy about that either. So we did find an alternate placement for Andreas. It was also very difficult for the ad litem to reach these caregivers after attempts to contact them.
So how is Andreas doing in his current placement since last night?
He is doing well. He did smile and wave and give me a hug after I left last night. And then I did call the foster placement this morning to see how the first night went. And she said that he did really well. He slept throughout the night. He smiled. And there's also another child in that household who's the same age of him. So he did really good last night.
I know there's been some discussion about potentially John's caregiver being willing to accept Andreas into their home as well. Where are we at on that?
After speaking with the caregiver, she felt that it may be best if we just waited just a little bit before moving Andreas to the placement with her. John has gotten more comfortable in the house, so he is starting to come out of his shell and has begun kind of annoying her own biological children, and she just doesn't want to overload her own children by bringing more children into the house.
Do you have any other updates on John or Andreas at this time?
No.
As it relates to the mother, am I correct? There was a family plan of service created for her?
Yes.
Did she participate in the creation of that plan?
Yes, she was present for the PC, the permanency conference.
And so has the department reviewed that family plan of service with her?
I have not been able to locate Ms. Hill since then.
Are there any additional services the department's requesting to be added to her family plan of service?
No.
And have all of her referrals been sent in for those services on her family plan of service?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have any other updates as it relates to the mother?
No, ma'am.
And as it relates to Mr. Hill, am I correct in that you've not had any contact with him?
I have not.
And although you've made several attempts to try to get in contact with him, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And there was in fact a family plan of service that was created for Mr. Hill.
Yes, ma'am.
And because you've not been in contact with him, you've not had the opportunity to review it with him, correct?
That's correct.
Are there any additional services the department's requesting to be added to his family plan of service?
No, ma'am.
And ma'am, am I correct at the adversary hearing, there were some discussions among the parties about the Grays participating in some services?
Yes, ma'am.
Has the department identified any services that they believe would be beneficial for Mr. and Mrs. Gray?
I was able to find an Al-Anon program that was mentioned, and I did send that over to their attorney.
Are there any additional services the department believes the Grays could benefit from beyond those services you've identified?
No, ma'am.
Is there anything else you feel the court needs to be made aware of at this time?
No, ma'am.
I'll pass the witness.
Mr. Kinslow?
Yes, you indicated that my client was at the FGC. Did she actively work in putting the plan together for her?
No, it was not an FGC, it was a permanency conference.
Yeah, but she participated in discussions about the services.
Yes.
And she had opportunities to question any at that time.
She did not have any questions.
Okay, thank you. No other questions for me.
Ms. Kay?
When you pick Rayleigh up on Friday, where are you going to take her?
I don't know.
You don't know. So on Friday, when you have this child in your car, what are you going to do?
I mean, I still have a few days for CPU to continue searching for placements.
Okay, and how long has CPU been looking for a placement for Rayleigh?
Since April.
Since April. And so maybe they're going to come through in the next few days. That's the plan.
I hope so.
Is hope a strategy?
I'm not a placement worker, so I'm not sure.
Well, don't you think you need a strategy for where this little girl's going to sleep on Friday night?
Yes.
Okay, but you don't have one.
No.
And you're not planning on bringing her back to the Grays, are you?
Not at this time.
Okay, let's talk about the emergency placement for Andreas. This will be his second foster home in this case, right?
Correct.
And now you're hopefully maybe going to put him in the placement with his brother, and that will be his third foster home in this case, correct?
Correct.
And you understand that there is biological family that is intervened in this case and is more than willing to be a placement for these boys, right?
Yes.
And they're back in their home, correct?
Yes.
And they were approved to be Brayley's foster parents, right?
Yes.
And in fact, they kept Braylee through all of these ups and downs and all of these upheavals until they were told by law enforcement that she needed to go to a hospital, didn't they?
Yes.
And you never.
I'm going to interrupt. This is set for a status hearing. I didn't have anything set for any type of a placement hearing. Status should be family service plan and service. And so I do not have time. If we're going to have a big contested hearing on placement, that'll need to be another day.
Respectfully, Judge, I believe that the court can look at placement of the children at any hearing.
I can if I know that it's an issue. And I have 6 more cases before lunchtime. It's 11:30.
Okay. I did notify the department in writing that I was going to ask for placement of the children today. I apologize that that was not communicated to the court. Could we possibly reset the hearing and come back next week and deal with the placement issues?
I'm on vacation next week. I get 1 vacation in every 8 years. And
that's fair.
If I know that placement is an issue, we can set that so that I can set aside some time to hear all the issues. But
yes, ma'am.
When I order the docket, I order based on what it's set for. And I had that we're going to have to come back another day for the placement hearing.
Okay, I will confer with Mr. Crosby and get a date when we can address those issues. Okay. Now, ma'am, you said that you have some services that you wanted to recommend for my clients. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, and when did you notify me of that?
I don't have the exact date, but I sent an email and I CC'd my legal representative as well as my supervisor on that email.
You sent it on Thursday. Does that sound correct?
Yes.
Okay. And so they have not had really any time before this hearing to get those services initiated, have they?
Right.
Okay. What do you think is in the best interest of these children today?
I think their best interest is to remain in the placement that they're in.
Pass witness.
Ms. Casper.
Ms. Harris, is it fair to say Andreas's previous foster placement just wasn't really cooperating with anyone?
Yes.
And so we are hopeful that this new foster placement will communicate with John's placement so that they can have additional visits outside of the CPS visits.
Yes, that was discussed yesterday and they agreed.
All right, thank you. I'll pass the witness.
Ms. Houston.
Your Honor, my questions mostly deal with placement, so I'm going to defer them to the next hearing. I don't have any further questions for Ms. Harris at this point in time.
Thank you. Any further witnesses, Ms. West?
No further witnesses.
Mr. Kinslow?
No witness.
Ms. Kay?
No witnesses.
What we can do is if there's a question about services for the Grays, I can take that up when we take up the placement issue. That'll give you a chance to visit with your clients and visit with the department and give you a chance to be able to deal with that instead of taking up that today. Any witnesses, Ms. Casper?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Houston?
No witnesses, Your Honor.
Anything further from CASA as it relates to the status?
No, ma'am. Thank you.
I will continue the department as the temporary managing conservator. I will approve the current placements and prior orders regarding visitation at this point. I will make the family service plan for the mother and Mr. Hill in the order of the court. There are no parents here to warn. The next hearing in this matter is the initial permanency, September 26, 2020. Second permanency and final is January 23rd, 2024. And our dismissal date is April 1st, 2024. If y'all will get with Mr. Crosby on a placement hearing and a hearing regarding the Grays services, then we'll get those set. If there's nothing further, we'll be in recess.